You are listening to the Knightline Sports Network, brought to you by Travis Dever and the Dever team, 386-690-1636.
Welcome to Knightline at Night on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Night Nation's only call-in show goes live now.
All right, hello Orlando and hello Night Nation. This is Andrew Phegley, and we are live from the Dever Team Studios, brought to you by Chad Bar Law, raising the bar on what to expect from your personal injury attorney. Give Chad a call, 407-599-9036 for a free consultation, or visit chadbarlaw.com. You can also call Travis Dever if you're looking for real estate in New Smyrna Beach, 386-690-1636. And we're taking your calls, 844-580-WDBO, 844-580-9326, or you can use the open mic feature on the WDBO app. Once again, I'm Andrew Phegley at AP_Knightline with a K on Twitter. Got Big Ben Stout here with me. He is at BigSocial32 on Twitter. Roger's going to be coming in a little bit later. I think he got held up. But you can find all the rest of our content on NightlineSports.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. It's out there everywhere. Big week again. Welcome back, Ben. Still a big week, I guess.
Yeah, we got a lot going on.
It's been big the entire time. I'm going to start off because we have a caller already. And I think it's Tony that is on the phone. Let's talk to Tony and see what's going on. Tony, my man, what's up?
Hey, how's it going? I just wanted to congratulate you guys on I know this isn't the 250 show, but you guys just did the 250 show, and you guys being the number one dedicated podcast at UCF. You know, that's really appreciate what you guys do. So I wanted to just say that first off. Thank you very much.
I really appreciate it. You heard my plea, obviously, for people to call, and I appreciate that. So what do you think? I'm going to ask you real quick since I got you. What do you think of the Gus Malzahn thing? Are you excited?
I am excited. I mean, he had the toughest division in college football, and with that experience, just his record alone, and as the national media keeps saying, he's the only person that's beat Saban. Saban's lost 6 times, and he's lost 3 of them to Gus. So yeah,
absolutely.
I feel like he's the best coach in our conference. Some say the best coach in the state of Florida. So I'm really pumped up, and honestly, I'm really excited about the recruiting. I don't want to break news or anything, but you probably guys are going to talk about it, but he just got that 4-star recruit from Auburn to come to us. So that's great news. And I'm excited. I guess my question for you guys is, do you guys foresee, maybe not this class, but maybe by next class, us first getting our first 5-star recruit at UCF?
Well, that was my hot take last week, the Tijuana Flats hot take on the podcast, actually. Yes, I do. I think that we'll get one. I think that Gus is just the guy to get one because he's done it before. You know what I'm saying? Not in the G5. There's only been one, Ed Oliver, and we were just looking it up before we went on air. That was 2016 for Houston. That's the only one that has ever signed in the G5, period. But honestly, there's never been a coach of this stature in the G5 as well. We lucked out. I mean, Gus Malzahn got fired at Auburn after not a losing season, number one. He'd been there for a long time, and it was kind of iffy. But he didn't have a losing season, and he's got all kinds of money. So he comes to UCF for half of the money he was making last year, let alone the big buyout that was $21 million. Yeah. So we lucked out. I mean, we really lucked out with him. And the thing is with him that I love is he's been there and done that with all those things, but he's never done it at UCF. And he's excited, and I do. I think that he will bring a 5-star player to UCF. Somehow, if it's a transfer or whatever, but a 5-star recruit, a kid out of high school that's a 5-star, I think it's going to be hard because I looked on this year's board, and there was only like 30 kids. So we'll see. I said within the next 2 or 3 years. I can't remember what I said. I think I said within the next 2 years he'll bring a 5-star here.
Yeah, that sounds more realistic. I was being optimistic. So I'm thinking like maybe next year. This year's a wash, obviously, but yeah, but probably 2 years is more realistic. So you're right about that. I did want to mention that there's just so much national media with Gus and the interest. There's just like all over college football. There's even like this college football podcast in England, and they're talking about UCF. And there was something that was brought up recently that a lot of people say that the Hurricanes and Florida State are blue bloods, but they actually don't have that long of history of the true blue bloods. And I guess what my other question is, could you see Gus being like Bobby Bowden, like starting the program like he did, being our Bobby Bowden, I guess is what I want to say?
And like staying around for a while?
Yeah, and like he said, he wanted to build the program. I know some people say that might be coach talk, so it might not be sincere.
No, but I mean, if you think about, if you think about like the situation that he's in, like he's getting paid $21 million for that buyout. He doesn't need the money. I mean, if his lifestyle is great enough that he needs $21 million, you know what I'm saying? Like he's been there and he's done that. He's been in the SEC. He's been, to the national championship, all these things. I don't know what else there is except retiring really in a nice community, being Orlando, maybe nice weather, palm trees, a nice pool, and being around for a program for a little while and building it. That's what I hope he does. And he could be that guy when we do get to the Power Five, if it happens in the next few years, which I think it's going to have to if it's going to. It should be in the next few years.
Yeah, I'd say there's about a 5-year window there probably.
Right.
Yeah, it seems to be, yeah.
But, Terry Mahajer, our new AD, is on the committee for the playoff. And, so he knows a lot of those people as well. I mean, I'm sure he's going to be lobbying as hard as he can to get into the Power Five as well, because that's his job. And then it's Gus Malzahn's job as well to have our team ready to play in the Power Five. I mean, I just think that it's the perfect scenario having him and everybody knows him. He's got more Twitter followers than UCF does as a football team, UCF football. Believe it or not, after all the hype and the national championship thing and the Peach Bowl and all that stuff, we got all those Twitter followers, but Gus Malzahn still has more than UCF.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things we've talked about, right? I mean, he is on his own a brand name. And I mean, going back to the recruiting and the hope that we could get a 5-star. I mean, as he said, there's only about 35 stars in the country every year. And so it's going to be a tall order, but I think Gus is up to it. And, if he doesn't, I think we're still going to land some of the best recruiting classes in the next 2-3 years that we've ever seen here at UCF and possibly even the best recruiting classes that you see in the group of 5 perennially. I mean, And it's because of that brand name that Gus Malzahn has. He's able to go after, and this is something that Kyle Israel talked about on the podcast. It's something that we talked a little bit about last week as well, is that Gus isn't afraid. He's already got the groundwork. He's already got the relationships with these high school coaches throughout the state of Florida and the Southeast, where he's not afraid to go after a 5-star or a guy that is getting, got offers from all the top schools in the country. He's not afraid to go after those guys. Whereas previous coaches at UCF and coaches around the country in the quote unquote G5, they're not going to necessarily waste their time in going after those guys that got offer sheets from Alabama and Georgia and all that, because they're like, we've only got limited resources. We can't go after those guys. But Gus, Gus doesn't care because he has the confidence to say, I can go into that living room and I can sell them on not only my program, but the program here that I'm building at UCF. And that's exciting. And
he's done it before. So, hey, Tony, thank you very much for calling. Thank you for the compliments and thank you for listening. Really, really appreciate it. All right.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the time.
Okay, yeah, thanks, man, Tony. Take it easy. Thank you. Awesome way to start out the show.
Yeah,
that's the way that I want to start out all of these shows, with a good caller like Tony.
Has some good questions.
Awesome.
And we even heard that we're being mentioned on we're UCF's worldwide now. I mean, we're being mentioned in English.
It's been worldwide for a little while, but I think with the national championship, claim and all that stuff, probably. We'll talk a little bit about basketball later. We've got all kinds of stuff. New coaches being hired tonight two of them in the last few hours. I was just looking at this. Kenny Martin from Kentucky, Western Kentucky, I believe, is where he came from. He's a hometown guy from Ocoee High School. Been at Western Kentucky for the last few years, and then is here for a defensive assistant coach. He was a defensive line coach there, so we were debating what defensive assistant means. Who knows? He could, I don't know. I mean, we don't have a defensive line coach yet, but they say defensive assistant for him.
I have a feeling he'll concentrate on the defensive line, but be available to the entire defense. I think that's kind of what that means.
Yeah, also wide receiver coach, and this one's a little bit weird. Daryl Wyatt, retained from Heupel's staff. Now, supposedly there was a little riffraff between Heupel and this guy, from what I understand. So, supposedly at like the end of the season he was going to fire him or something, and he's back and he's on the Gus Malzahn staff. He's done very well with our wide receivers. There is ties, though, with this guy especially. He was at Kansas with Terry Mahajer and Coach Gibbs, both.
Okay.
And he was at Arkansas State with Terry Mahajer. So these guys, on the co-defensive coordinator and our AD, both know this guy.
You think about
They're familiar with him.
Think about the last 3 seasons of wide receivers that we've had here at UCF, with Gabe Davis and Marlon Williams just going off last year. We've still got Flash Robinson here, staying here, and the future is really bright here with Ryan O'Keefe and others that are joining Flash. I think it's great that he's sticking around, because you look back at some of those wide receivers that he's coached and being spectacular, having spectacular performances on the field, and so it seems to be from the Twitter sphere. It seems like former players and current players are very excited that he's sticking around, and so that's good news, I guess.
Yeah. So it wasn't quite sure who the bad guy was in this Heupel and him thing. Well, it sounds like it was probably not him.
Yeah.
So that's just what it sounds like. I don't know. I could be wrong there. But he has experience. He's been in the NFL a couple times as a coach, intern with the Philadelphia Eagles, Minnesota Vikings as a wide receiver coach. Then he went to Arizona, University of Arizona, then Southern Miss, then to Kansas again. He was at Kansas 3 times, actually. He was at Kansas 97 to 99 in 2000. Then he came back in 2000. Then he did a bunch of other stuff, and then was the co-offensive coordinator and wide receiver coach there in 2010, and then went to Texas for a couple of years. Oklahoma State, Houston in 2016, Arkansas State, and then to UCF. He's been here since 2018. So he's been here for a while. So it's good that the wide receivers get their coach and they get to stick with their coach. That's always a good thing.
Yeah,
I think, especially when, we were saying, the wide receivers were doing really good. All right, well, we're going to get to a break here, and we will be right back on Knightline at Night. Stay tuned.
An auto accident can change your life forever. At Chad Barr Law, we are raising the bar on what to expect from your personal injury attorney. Hi, I'm Chad Barr, and I want you to know that our entire team is dedicated to providing you with the representation you deserve in your greatest time of need. If you or a loved one have been injured in an auto accident, call 407-599-9036 for a free consultation or visit chadbarlaw.com. At Chad Barr Law, our clients come to us in need and leave as family. Offices, Altamont Springs.
Hey, this is Travis Dever, Kai's Real Estate, the Dever team, New Smyrna Beach. Your source for real estate and everything else, New Smyrna Beach. Proud sponsor of Knightline. Call me anytime at 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636. Let me show you my hometown, New Smyrna Beach, UCF's favorite beach. Go Knights and charge on.
Looking for more out of your Porsche? Look no further than Flat6Motorsports.com. They have the widest selection of aftermarket Porsche parts anywhere in the world. With over 85 product lines and in-depth expertise, Flat6Motorsports.com is your one-stop shop for any Porsche performance needs. Whether you're shopping for intakes, exhausts, suspension, or tuning, they have you covered. Flat6Motorsports.com is the premier Porsche aftermarket specialist. Check them out at Flat6Motorsports.com.
And now, back to Knightline at Night on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Call now at 844-580-9326.
All right, back on Knightline at Night. This is Andrew Phegley. We're live from the Devertine Studios, brought to you by Chad Bar Law. Taking your calls, 844-580-9326, 844-580-9326, or you can use the open mic feature on the WDBO app. Once again, I'm Andrew Phegley, AP_Knightline on Twitter. Got Big Ben Stout here with me at BigSocial32 on Twitter. Roger Phipps as well at Night Bengal on Twitter from the Santa Rosa Beach studios. And you can find all the rest of our content on NightlineSports.com. We're talking UCF, football, basketball, softball, baseball, tennis.
It's all started now.
Not
whatever.
baseball. We're not talking about baseball.
Yeah, they lost again tonight.
Okay,
Yeah,
well.
7-0 to Stetson.
Yikes.
Okay, well, it happens. It's baseball. There's
It's
lots
baseball,
of games. Lots of games. All right, so back to we had a great call, by the way, in the opening segment from Tony. Thank you very much, Tony. Really appreciate it. The rest of y'all can do exactly what he did, and you can give us a call, 844-580-9326, 844-580-9326. All right. So we were talking about Gus Malzahn. I mean, that's all we've been talking about for like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks.
A little
now.
over a week, yeah.
So
it happened last Monday. I know that it seems like longer, but it happened last Monday
During
officially.
the podcast. It was crazy.
during the podcast and Tony mentioned when he was on earlier that we had our 250th episode of Knightline the podcast. If you haven't heard it, you can find it anywhere you find podcasts. That's our kind of our bread and butter. It's we've been doing it I think I've been doing it since 2014. So it's been a while. Finally got to 250. We have a lot more content than that, though. We have numerous shows and all that stuff. So if you have a chance, if you like what you hear here, check it out. Hopefully a lot of you are already listeners to that. But if you're not, please check it out. Knightline Podcast, Knightline Sports Network. So we were talking about the staff kind of starting to fill out.
Yeah, so he's got 9 of his 10 assistant coaches essentially filled out right here. This is according to Brandon Helwig at UCF Sports on Twitter. Defensive. There seems to be like a defensive backs coach or a defensive line or linebackers coach might be the kind of last piece of that puzzle there. But he has filled out the coaching staff for the most part, with the exception of that one.
You want to run through it real quick?
Yeah, sure. Co-offensive coordinator and QB coach G.J. Kenny, who was a former Tulsa quarterback, and he came from Hawaii. Co-offensive coordinator and running backs coach Tim Harris Jr., offensive line coach Herb Hand.
One of the absolute best, by the way.
Heard
Herb
a lot
Hand.
of good things about Herb Hand. Yeah,
been around a long
lot
time.
of experience, right? Wide receiver coach Daryl Wyatt. We just talked about him.
Been on the staff since 2018.
That's right. So he's the one carryover from last year's staff. Special teams and tight end coach, special teams coordinator and tight end coach Brian Blackman. Defensive coordinator Travis Williams. I believe he's also over the linebackers as well, but I'm not sure.
Inside linebackers.
That's right. Yeah, so co-defensive coordinator and defensive backs coach David Gibbs.
Who was my coach my last 2 years at Kansas. So I know this guy, and he's a great coach. I can't wait.
And defensive assistant, we just talked about him, Kenny Martin, a local guy from Ocoee. And he has been at Western Kentucky the last 3 seasons. And we also think he's going to be working out on the defensive line or shading towards the defensive line. The cornerbacks coach, Addison Williams, And then we have that 10th spot that is yet to be filled, and it might even be on the defensive line or our outside linebackers is probably what we'd be looking at there.
Addison Williams is a former Auburn player, and also I believe Travis Williams is definitely a former Auburn player as well, under Gus Malzahn. So these are guys that he's coached and now brought up through coaching. Football ops, this is a weird one. And I don't know, I think is it Tui?
Yeah, Tui. Yeah.
Tui. So,
SJ
Tui. This guy is, if you remember the movie The Blind Side.
That's right.
The family that what was the player's name in Blind Side?
Played for the Ravens. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm Michael Orr. Michael
Orr. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you've seen the movie Blind Side with Sandra Bullock, in the movie, Sandra Bullock's son, not the player, but the son, the little kid, this is him.
Yeah, that's SJ Tui. Yeah, he's been involved in college athletics for a while now.
Not the son in the movie, but the actual son of the family that did this, that the Blind Side movie is about. So how weird is that?
It's a very odd connection.
Weird.
Yeah.
That's a weird deal. Absolutely. All right. So, and then strength coach Chris Dawson, which is one of the absolute best out there as well. Been at Kansas State for a very long time. Since 2009, actually. Was at Kansas as well for a little while. So you see there's a little connection. Terry Mahajer's a Kansas guy. He's bringing some guys that he knows along as well, because he was a football coach and a football player as well. So that's where a lot of this is coming from. Guys that he's worked with in the past, which is great. This guy, though, is one of the absolute best. So I think our guys already have probably gotten stronger and faster even in the last, couple minutes. All right, we'll be back. This is Knightline at Night. I need to talk to you about something very near and dear to my heart. It's Tijuana Flats' new fajita tacos, available for a limited time. Grilled chicken or steak with fajita peppers and onions, garlic lime sauce, and guajillo chili salsa. Topped with cheddar jack cheese, crisp iceberg lettuce, and fresh pico on warm flour tortillas served with chips and salsa. We're talking good vibes and even better flavors from a whole nother plane of deliciousness. Available for a limited time either in-store or through their app and website for delivery or pickup. These aren't just fajitas. They're something better. True enlightenment. Fajita tacos. Available for a limited time only at your neighborhood Tijuana Flats. Hey Jeep Wrangler owners, have you ever sat in your office at work and watched the rain just pour into your Jeep because the weatherman said that there was a 0 chance of rain? Or you put your doors back on because there was a 100% chance and then not a drop of rain fell? Well, there's a company out there that can help take the worry away and give you the peace of mind to be without your doors. The company's called Life Without Doors. They make waterproof rain curtains and dash covers for Wranglers. Life Without Doors is there to help make the decision to leave the doors at home an easy one. Find out more at lifewithoutdoors.com.
Spice up your company with homemade marketing services from Tasty Gravy Creative. Tasty Gravy serves up a menu of budget-friendly marketing, graphic design, and public relations services customized to your specific goals. Co-owned by a UCF graduate, Tasty Gravy can help refresh your brand, strengthen your online presence, or reinforce your company's message. Contact Tasty Gravy for help with your website, social media, marketing, advertising materials, and more. Visit tastygravy.com.
And now, back to Knightline at Night on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Call now at 844-580-9326.
All right, back on Knightline at Night. I'm Andrew Phegley. We're live from the Dever Team Studios, brought to you by Chad Bar Law, raising the bar on what to expect from your personal injury attorney. Give Chad a call, 407-599-9036 for a free consultation, or visit chadbarlaw.com, and he will take care of you. Call Travis Dever for all your New Smyrna Beach real estate needs, 386-690-1636, or you can call us. That's the one I really want you to call. 844-580-9326, 844-580-WDBO, or 9326. Or you can use the open mic feature on the WDBO app. Again, I am I'm if I can say my name, I am Andrew Phegley, AP_Knightline on Twitter. Got Big Ben Stout here with me at Big Social 32 on Twitter. Roger Phipps at Night Bengal from the Santa Rosa Beach studios. We're talking UCF sports. We were talking about, obviously, Gus Malzahn. Recruiting is a big thing that he's going to do quite a bit at. In his opening press conference, he said this.
We're going to recruit Florida like nobody else. We're going to recruit like our hair is on fire. We're going to go after the best players in America, and we're not backing down to anybody. We've got a lot to offer here, and we're going to put together a staff that will be able to do that. The footprint that we'll be recruiting in, I've already got experience. I already know the top players, I already know the coaches and everything that goes on. Florida will be our priority, but we'll also recruit Georgia, we'll recruit Alabama, and we'll recruit South Carolina. Now, if we have relationships outside of a certain player, we will, but we're going to spend our most of our time within a 6-hour circle.
All right, well, that sounds exciting. He's been going at it since he's been here for just a little bit more than a week now.
Yeah,
I don't even remember how many.
It was officially announced last Monday morning.
Last
Monday,
yeah. Okay.
So
like a little bit more than a week.
Yeah.
He's got 26 offers out already.
He's working.
Yeah, he's
Through
really
2023.
Yeah, I was getting there. So some of these players are class of 22 guys. Some of them are class of 23 guys. He's gone pretty hard on the class of 23, which is next year. So the signing class after this next signing class. So they would be juniors in high school right now. But still, lots of guys out there. And the average star rating, if you pay attention to star rating on Rivals or ESPN or 24/7 Sports, whatever, any of those, Yahoo Sports has things, I think, the average is 4. I mean, he is going after 4-star players. He's going after 5-star players. He's not going after a bunch of 3-star players, a bunch of 2-star players, a bunch of no-star players. The ones that have no stars, if you're looking at them, especially on Rivals, are the guys from 2023 mostly. There are a couple guys that don't have, but I don't think these, I've said it a bunch of times, I don't think these stars mean a whole lot most of the time. It does for the kids probably. I'm a 5-star. Whoa,
Yeah.
I'm big time. But we've had a history, especially George O'Leary, had a real long history of taking 3-star guys and 2-star and no-star guys and making them, play like 4- and 5-star players. He did. We've had a history of that. Scott Frost did it. Heupel did it too, I guess.
To a point, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Heupel's probably biggest recruit was Dylan Gabriel. I mean, that was the one. And but at the end there, I mean, Georgia was after Dylan Gabriel. There was a few other big name schools. Yeah, USC,
Army.
Yep.
Roger, you probably know though about, you're kind of our recruiting guy. You know and follow this stuff probably more than the rest of us do. I follow it pretty closely, but I think you've got me a little bit. We got a commitment from a transfer from Auburn today. What can you tell us about that guy?
Yeah, that's a big commitment for a couple of reasons. One, not only is he a very, very solid player, he's a 4-star running back. He originally signed with Auburn over a plethora of all the big-name blue blood programs. He's a guy who can run hard. He had an injury early on, so he had to sit out, which means he has 4 years of eligibility left. So not only is this a 4-star player, highly recruited, everybody was after him, but he's got 4 years left, which is huge for a transfer. It's basically like getting a high school kid who's been in a strength and conditioning program for 2 years. Now, the biggest thing with him is he has the ability to catch out of the backfield, which in Gus Malzahn's offense is extremely important. He does a couple of things that's unique, and Andrew actually turned me on to a article that was about Gus's offense, and he almost has elements of triple option in it. He'll pass out of the backfield to a running back that slips into the middle of the field. So we need someone who's able to catch in space. They've got bubble screens that they're running. We need someone who can catch in space. So not only is his running ability pretty good, he's a Florida kid. He's a 4-star guy, but he's got 4 years of eligibility, which is huge.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Mark Anthony Richards. I mean, it's great that he's immediately going to follow Gus Malzahn here to UCF from Auburn. And I agree with you, Roger. I like his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. He seems like a very versatile player, and we just talked about. We've talked about in the past that, we've lost a versatile player in Otis Anderson. This guy seems to be like a next level Otis Anderson. And so I'm hoping after he had that injury earlier last year that he's fully recovered and ready to go, because he should be immediately eligible, I imagine. And having 4 years of eligibility here at UCF is a big deal.
Yeah, and he's probably not the only one. I wouldn't be surprised if there are more guys that follow Gus Malzahn. Maybe not this year, but maybe even next year. There's guys that are going to play for the new head coach at Auburn that might want to come, and guys that Gus Malzahn has been recruiting, early on as well. A lot of this 26 players that he's probably offered were probably already offered by Auburn. So
I'm sure, yeah.
They're guys that he's known, that he's watched. I mean, he knows a lot of people. He's been doing this for a very long time. This is something at UCF that we haven't had in quite a while. George O'Leary probably, fit that bill a little bit, being involved in college sports and coming from, I guess, a Power 5 for a day. He was at Notre Dame for a day.
Well, he's at Georgia Tech.
Well, he was at Georgia Tech
before that. Yeah, but I mean directly is what I'm saying. But yeah, it's kind of the same thing in a way. But Gus Malzahn, probably one of the top coaches, the top 10 coaches, I would say, probably in America as far as college football. Now, there was a little poll that was done on 24/7 Sports. Florida head coaches as recruiters. And this includes Manny Diaz,
oh, yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Gus Malzahn, Dan Mullen, Mike Norvell, Willie Taggart, Jeff Scott, and Bush Davis. They're actually in that order. So they have Manny Diaz as number 1, Gus Malzahn as number 2, even over Dan Mullen and Mike Norvell, Taggart, Jeff Scott, and Butch Davis.
And that's best recruiter of all the head football coaches in the
state of Florida.
The state of Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, that just shows you again how connected Gus Malzahn is, not only with the high school coaches and everything in the state of Florida, but certainly the athletes as well.
Yeah, and that high school relationship with those coaches that he's been taking Florida players to Auburn for years.
Yeah.
So this is nothing new.
He's used to this area.
The other thing, too, to kind of point out is Tim Harris Jr., who you mentioned earlier, Ben, the co-OC and running back coach. Mm-hmm. Now, we know that Randy Shannon had a lot of relationships down in South Florida, and with him no longer being on staff, there's a little concern maybe that we have a gap there. However, Tim Harris Jr., who's coming to us from FIU, who was the co-offensive coordinator there, was the head coach at Booker T. Washington, was a national championship or a state championship winning coach at Booker T. Washington, and is one of the most renowned folks that are in South Florida and one of the best recruiters. In fact, he was the number 1 recruiter in Conference USA. He's been in South Florida his entire life and knows everybody down there. So he's on the same or on par with what Randy Shannon was before he left. So it's really important to point that out, because Gus really wants Florida. That's a huge piece of it.
Yeah, absolutely. South Florida, it's a big part of it. I mean,
and we've heard about Travis Williams as well being, very connected and in South Florida as well. I mean,
he was down in Miami. He was the co-defensive coordinator, I think, down there, or a linebacker coach or something.
For a couple weeks, but that's how they...
For a couple weeks,
That's why they hired him.
Exactly. Yeah. So Gus Malzahn is doing smart things here, and it's not like that wasn't expected for him to be a smart coach and to be hiring guys that he knows have good ties to the state of Florida and to whatever they're trying to do. I mean, I'm impressed with the staff. I know that some people aren't horribly impressed with the staff. They thought that maybe we would get bigger names in the staff, but I'm very excited about it, to be honest with you.
What I like about it is it's a great combination of like this experience along with energy. You know, we got a few young guys in there that have proven themselves to be very talented coaches, and then also just that recruiting aspect and that connection that they seem to have with not only Gus but TMO and the players themselves. I'm excited about it as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, I cannot wait for football. I haven't been this excited for a while. I mean, it's been a number of years. Probably, Scott Frost being the coach the second year, I was probably this excited.
Right.
But this is way bigger than that, though. Way bigger.
Well,
Night Nation, next level.
Yeah, Night Nation is buying season tickets. They're at 84%. So there's about 6,000 season tickets left now post-COVID. So if you guys are interested in purchasing them, now's the time to buy them.
Well, hopefully we have a full stadium this year. I don't know. I'm a little worried still about that with the way things are going. But
I'm just going to keep speaking it into existence. We're going to sell out the bounce house for Boise State.
Oh, man, because it is just – I was there. I went to one game this year just because I really wasn't into it with everything and the atmosphere being weird, and, man, was it ever weird. It was depressing. It was. I went to the Cincinnati game. That game was depressing anyway, but – just the vibe out there. I sat in the stadium club. Never sat up there before. It was nice. It was awesome. Got food, all that stuff, but it was depressing. Just the whole thing. Normally, we're out there tailgating. We're having a great time all day long, and then you go to a football game, you know, and it just wasn't like that.
We got to get that magic back because that Boise State game, I can't wait. That's going to be a highly anticipated game. The season opener at home.
I think the game against Louisville will be exciting.
Oh, certainly, but I'm just saying
the Boise one will be good.
It's the season opener. I mean, that's just the thing. They're trying to bounce back. So
and Boise,
it's Cincy 2.0.
Yeah, Boise thinks that they're the G5 team, and we think we're the G5 team. So
there's certainly some storylines going into that.
We're finally going to get to play it out on the gridiron.
Right.
I mean, it's the first time that we've played since both teams, or both programs have been in national prominence. Sometimes
you got it. You landed the plane.
Sometimes the words don't come out correctly. But that's going to be good. Cincinnati, we play, I believe, Cincinnati at Cincinnati this year, correct? Because we played them at home.
Correct.
So, that will be part 2, though. So, all right, we're going to go to another break, and we will be right back on Knightline at Night to finish it up.
I'm Jeff Allen. Join me each and every week on the Knightline Sports Network for the AAC Report. We bring you in-depth coverage of each school in football, basketball, baseball, softball, soccer, golf, tennis, and more, as well as bring you insider interviews and focus in on the biggest games and news of the week. That's all right here each week on the AAC Report, only on the Knightline Sports Network.
Welcome. This is a promo for the Take a Left at Albuquerque podcast, new to the Knightline Sports Network. You should listen to it. I say things like this. We need to stop blaming Jerry because we would do the exact same thing if we owned the Dallas freaking Cowboys. Do you know how much fun it is to own the Dallas Cowboys? My guests will say things sometimes like this.
It's the Lord of the Flies thing that happens when they don't understand that things are wrong, spoiler alert, until Piggy dies.
Lord of the Flies has been out for like 100 years. I don't even know.
Sorry to everyone at home who I spoiled the book for. A book's been out for like 90 years or something.
And sometimes, rarely though, I'll say really stupid things like this. If they don't make it out of the West and the Raptors get to the finals, I will go on either this show or whoever's show and say that Kawhi Leonard is overrated because I have too much evidence of it. New episodes drop every Friday with me and some of my good friends right here on the Knightline Sports Network.
And now, back to Knightline at Night on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Call now at 844-580-9326.
All right, final segment of the night. Back on Knightline at Night. I am Andrew Phegley, live from the Dever Team Studios, brought to you by Chad Barlaw. Got Big Ben Stout here with me. Got Roger Phipps. Let's talk a little bit of basketball. UCF basketball is starting to come around a little bit, Ben.
Yeah, they absolutely are. I mean, we should be talking about a 5-game win streak here. The 2 losses that we have had are by 1 point each, but we are talking about a 2-game win streak. They beat South Florida last week. The Cows. They beat them at home pretty handily. I would say that was probably the most. There we go.
There it is.
There it is.
Yes.
We beat them pretty handily. I'd say that was probably our most complete team win of the season. We beat them 81-65. Had multiple players, a lot of balanced scoring, and played great defense as well. And then went to Tulane at a very early game on Saturday morning. It was noon Eastern, but it was 11 o'clock Central Time in New Orleans. And it came down to the end. Had to stave off a little bit of a run, a late Tulane run in the end. But for the most part, especially in the second half, early part of the second half, we kind of controlled that game. We had an 11-point lead with about 7 minutes left. We won that one 84-81, and to earn him AAC Freshman Player of the Week honors, Isaiah Adams. He went off in that game against Tulane. He had 26 points. He made his first 10 field goals, which tied a UCF record in the game. First 10 field goals without a miss. We're down to the end of the season here. We've got 3 games left. 3 games left. We play at home against Temple on Saturday. We have Tulsa at home next Tuesday, and then finish up the regular season at ECU next Thursday, March 4th. So three teams that are kind of towards the lower half of the conference. Hopefully we can finish strong, and by winning all 3 of those games, if we can pull it off, we would wind up 500 in the regular season at 11-11. And one last thing that I'll say just about the AAC, because this year has been obviously a crazy year with COVID in general, but the AAC, we had to play 20 AAC games this season. I think we're going to wind up playing less than that, obviously, but there were 20 scheduled. We've talked about it. There's about 360 teams in all of D1 college basketball, and they have the net rankings that rank all through, the entire slate there. There's only 5 conferences that has every single team in their conference ranked in the top 175, so the top half in that net rankings. And the AAC is one of them.
Oh, wow.
So it's important to just know that from top to bottom that we have a lot of talent and balance in this league. Obviously, Houston, Wichita State, they're up there at the top. Memphis has had a good year. But, Houston's kind of on a class of its own. But there's certainly top to bottom. You run into some difficulty every night in this league. And so along with the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, and Pac-12, we're one of those 5 conferences that are very balanced top to bottom. So.
And not that far away from the conference tournament, which we did not get to have last year. So this will be, a little bit different. And you never know. Our guys are starting to play really good together right at the right time. We saw flashes of brilliance in the early season. Then in the middle, it kind of dipped out. And then now we're getting a little bit better, and we're seeing guys, start to play together and to play together really well.
And that's what I really like about the way we're playing right now. Early on in the season, we had guys like Brandon Mahan and Darren Green for a stretch, and Isaiah Adams for that matter, kind of go off individually and carry us to those big wins in the early season. Now we're getting it done as a team on both sides of the court. I really like the way they're balancing out the scoring and sharing the ball well. It's hopefully we can build some really good momentum going into that conference tournament.
All righty, absolutely. Well, that's going to about do it for us. We're getting ready to go here. So that'll do it for us. Thank you, Roger. Thank you for callers. Thank you, Ben. Go Knights and charge on, and we will see you next week. Same time, same station.